So this video just kind of give us a little bit of a insight.
What did you do to my sign?
I wrote the saying in different words.
Thanks, love.
Any ideas from that?
That's huge. Life and death of it, and the power of the tongue. Um, there's a saying that words can't hurt you. It's a false saying because if you negative words can hurt you, and um, when you change your words, you will change your world. It's a lot of power in that. That's huge.
That is huge. And I know that video is a lot more depth behind it than what we're going to talk about. But at the same time, maybe it doesn't, because of sharing the differences in how we work versus AFLAC. We basically have the same goal as AFLAC, right? What's AFLAC's overall goal? What does their commercials say? What's our overall goal? Put money in somebody's pocket when bad things happen.
Right.
Right. So it's the same words, it's the same message. The gentleman in the video, he was asking for help because he couldn't see, and he was honest. He was right out there. I can't see. The message that the woman wrote was the same. She had the same overall message, right? The meaning of her message was he can't see.
Yep.
So
But the
it's
perspective was
getting
different.
to the same point from two different directions. Guys, again, just feel free to jump into this. Is much more of a discussion. But my view is when we hear we're all set, we have AFLAC, that's really no different than rewriting the sign. Right? We have the same goal. We're just going to get there pretty differently. And I actually like when they say, hey, we have AFLAC. A couple of reasons. They understand the importance of what we do. Right? If it wasn't important to them, they wouldn't have it. They wouldn't be offering it, not just for themselves, but to their staffs. So they understand they have a need. And if you think about it, what's the very first critical thing that needs to be there before we can protect a family?
The need.
Need.
Have a need, right? And they have to have a need, and then they have to understand why this is important. If you walk into a business and they're like, hey, we're all set, we have AFLAC, they've knocked out those two first roadblocks for us, right? Those two first objectives for us. Yep. So guys, you're starting to see why someone saying, hey, we're all set, we have impact, is actually a positive, not a negative.
Mhm.
Just like in the beginning with are we up or are we down? Somebody may say, hey, we have Aflac and think of it as a down, but actually it's an up because they've already gotten past the first two objectives that we need to get by. The last piece of it is we just have to show them and help them appreciate how we can provide a better solution. That said, just because somebody has Aflac and they appreciate how we're different, it's not always a home run that they're going to immediately drop their Aflac and come over to us. I think that's hard too. I have a company I spoke with this summer. They pay Aflac $1,600 a month.
Ooh.
They hate, and get ready for this. This is what really gets me. They don't like their agent and they don't like the program. We're actually less expensive with much broader benefits. And you know why they stuck with Aflac? And I would have done all the work to help them switch, but they didn't want to take that time.
They're
Does that
lazy.
make-
The
They're
same
lazy, yes. And honestly, I do most of the work for them, but they're lazy and they're stuck in that comfort zone. But guys, does that make any sense? I mean, why would you pay $1,600 a month for something that you don't like and you're not happy with?
Right.
Right. That's honestly, that's one of the, have a blessed day. I'm here if you need me. And guys, the only reason I'm telling you that story is I don't want you to think when we find a business or a person that has Aflac, that it's an absolute slam dunk that they're going to come over to us. Because as Ken says, sometimes people are lazy and they just don't want to make that little teeny bit of effort to make something better for themselves. All right, this is probably the biggies. How are we different? So Aflac benefits, I should probably edit that a little bit. They can be taxed. It depends if the premiums are pre or post-tax. Some Aflac benefits are pre-tax and some Aflac benefits are post-tax. If their benefits are pre-tax, meaning that they do not pay payroll deduct tax on their premiums, the benefits are going to be taxed. Again, that might be you want to kind of stay out of the too much information zone with somebody and getting into all that, but just good to know. I will usually say, our benefits are tax-free. That kind of blanketly covers it because all of our benefits are post-tax. Aflac pays on one diagnosis. I've had families tell me about other family members that Aflac paid on the first diagnosis. And then something about cancer as it comes back, right? Tends to come back. And those families weren't paid a dime on the second diagnosis. So imagine going through the exact same thing and having your insurance company pay you nothing. As Greg pointed out, Aflac has caps and limits. Aflac generally is required to run through payroll. So guys, big differences for us. As we've already talked about, our benefits are always paid tax-free. If they ask how that happens, it's because premiums are post-tax. You're only taxed on your money once. So if premiums are post-tax, you've already paid tax on that money. So any benefits that come from it are tax-free. We pay on multiple diagnoses. As Greg pointed out, we don't have caps and limits. We don't have to run through payroll. We're usually 20 to 30% less expensive. We've talked about this one. We have much better personalized customer service. And guys, who does that start with? Who does that customer service? Us.
Us.
Yep. us, guys. We are the face of Family Heritage. It all starts with us. That doesn't mean that we don't want to reach out to the home office for help. I actually think it's a good showing. When I say to a client that asks me something, I'm like, you know what, I don't know, but let me get somebody on the phone that can help us. And then they watch us go through that effort. Again, I've heard so much. I know I'm speaking a little bit from my experience, and you guys can jump into Aflac agent up in Maine is horrible. Or the one that I've run into, I think I've probably taken most of his business, I'm guessing. The guys tell me, we never see him. Aflac is notorious about being there one day, getting everything written, and then disappearing.
Yep.
Yep. Actually, Josie, before I forget, I have a business that came over to me from Aflac last December in Little River when I had Michael with me. Can you do me a favor if I give you their contact information and jump in and visit them for me, just to touch base?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna be in Little River today, so I can swing by there through today.
Thank you, because that was one of their big things, and that was one of the promises I made to them when I thought we had somebody there. So Josie, I'd appreciate that. They're super nice. Yeah, Josie, thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you, Josie. I appreciate it. So guys know customer service is huge. It all starts with us. And then of course, the really big one, what everybody loves, is the return. So we're less expensive, we have broader benefits, and hey, if you don't use it, we pay your money back. Usually those three is enough to pique somebody's attention. Van explained it to me really well one day. To help get the idea across, Aflac's a rental. Family Heritage is like paying your mortgage. Right? You pay your rent, and when you're done, you walk away.
Yeah.
When you're paying your mortgage, equity.
Yeah, and if you happen to have Aflac for an extended period of time, and you age to age 75, I believe they cut you off.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, I know. I've actually had a couple of clients that had family members, like a mom or a dad, that had it, and they told them they couldn't file a claim because of their age or something like that.
That's not right.
Ken, were they still they weren't still charging premiums, were they? Or we don't know.
I'm almost believing they were, because she actually called me and asked me about it, because she had a policy with us, but her dad was in a nursing home, and he had a policy, and she was having issues with them about filing a claim for him.
And I'm sure that's not something they share with the families, so the families will stop paying their premiums.
I'm quite sure.
I'm quite sure. And guys too, I think when you explain what I personally, I'll just speak about myself for a second. When I am talking about us versus Aflac, I am really clear that I don't work for Aflac. I don't have any real inside knowledge as to how they work. So what I know is from my experience of what I've learned from talking to customers. I think that just gives us a little bit of protection. Ken, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, because honestly, like I try to stay away from the comparing, but I will share a third party story, and so that's not me talking, but it's a fine line, because under our license we can't throw salt on the other guy.
Exactly. that was my point, guys. We don't want to get into opening ourselves up for defamation.
Yeah, whenever I'm in a business and they got Aflac, one of the things that I say is that I'm really not here to convince you to switch.
Mhm.
But I am here to give you guys a additional option to
Exactly.
offer your employees. And so it's totally up to them, whether they switch or not.
Right.
So
Ken,
if you wanna-
thank you for saying that. That's actually my kind of strategy. Again, being a little protective of ourselves. As Ken said, we're just there to provide information. And that's no different than what we do on a daily basis. Right? And
Yeah.
they make the decision for themselves.
Yeah, and if they're paying attention, they'll either switch or they'll pick it up over top of it. I actually got the irony of us having this conversation today is I had a customer text me last night, and he told me that he actually got Aflac at work, and he basically thinks that he has the exact same coverage with us, and so but he doesn't. I mean, he has an accident policy, a heart policy, and a cancer policy. He thinks, for some reason, he keeps thinking he's got short-term disability. And so I explained to him a second time last night that you don't have short-term disability with us. We don't offer that. But you do have an accident policy, an accidental death policy, which I know they provide also. So he says he has that with them. And so he wants to cancel ours because he thinks that they're the same. And so I told him, I said, well, look, when can you talk live? Because they're not the same. I can assure you that. And and if you want to cancel it after we have a conversation, then that's totally up to you. But we're definitely not the same.
No, and Ken, if you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of expand on that to help someone else, to help a person come up with that realization themselves that we're not the same. What I've done is create a little scenario, right? A diagnosis of cancer,
Mm-hmm.
so many days in the hospital, so many chemo treatments, or for an accident policy, broken arm. I'll actually make a situation. And I tell people, I'm not in claims. I'm not a claims expert. And then I just run it through what the benefits would be under their Aflac plan and what the benefit paid would be under our plan.
Yep.
Because you don't want to get into line by line, because once in a while there are places that Aflac will pay more than we are. They are far and few between. But if you get into a line by line, it's almost like comparing apples to oranges. Or in my experience, and again, Ken and Brandy can help with this, and Josie can help. If you take a whole situation, especially if you add in a second diagnosis for a cancer or a heart.
Yeah, and a lot of times you can third party that because, in getting stories from customers, in day-to-day activity, I hear it all the time. I had a customer at a chemical plant, and he goes, I had an accident earlier this year, and I had Aflac through here. My wife had another company, and Aflac paid me $900. They paid her 3 times. Whoever she has, I think it might have been Colonial or something. They paid her 3 times for the same accident what Aflac did. And so if Colonial is paying like that, our policy is better than the Colonial policy.
Yeah, and actually, Kenny, you're doing great helping me out here. Even though we're talking specifically about Family Heritage versus Aflac, you can take that Aflac out and put whatever they have. If they have a Colonial, they have a Combined, they have a Washington Mutual. It's pretty much the same ideas. What the difference is, especially the multiple diagnoses and the 100% return of premium.
Yep.
Hey Trish, I've been real this. I just want to jump in real quick. One of the things I really picked up from Brad, especially when you're dealing with Aflac, and I use this all the time, and it's pretty effective. But when we're comparing something to, Aflac, I always start off and say, okay, you have Aflac. Yeah, great. Haven't very long and, that kind of thing. But I always tell them, I said, listen, I have nothing bad to say about Aflac. They do a lot of good stuff for folks that we don't do, like vision and dental, disability. But where we kind of separate ourselves is in the no caps, no lifetime limits. It's kind of like the difference between getting 10 or 20,000 one time or having an unlimited supply for as long as you need it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and I asked him, I said, why would that be important, especially with cancer? You know, well, because you don't know how long you're going to be dealing with it. Exactly. And then I share a story that Brad shared about a gentleman up at one of the fire departments that he enrolled up in North Carolina. The guy got kidney cancer. They paid him out $20,000. Lasted him about 4 or 5 months. 6 months later, it came back in his other kidney. They wouldn't do anything for him because they'd already paid him for his kidney cancer.
Right.
And we can't cover him. So, yeah, third-party stories. Yeah, I mean that kind of helps them to see the real deal.
Right. And we use third-party stories anyway, right, guys? This isn't like, hey, we're going to have all these special ninja news because it's Aflac and Colonial combined. I think it all goes back to the basics that we use every day anyway, right?
Right. I think that just, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, Trish, the whole purpose of you covering this today is so that folks understand that just because they say they have Aflac, in your mind, don't think they're good. Just know that that's opportunity, you know. And
exactly.
And the more you know about the competition, not so you can go line for line, but the more you know about them and the more you know about your product, then it makes it easier for you to say, sweet, well, you'll understand totally, like this will be quick. And you know, they'll understand, you know, how this works easy.
Right, Ken, because what I'm trying to find it is that goes back to this slide that we talked about. What are the first two hurdles that we have to get over, regardless if they have Aflac or they don't have Aflac, right? They have to understand the difference and they have to have a need.
Yep.
So if we walk in and they say, hey, we're good, we have Aflac, absolutely. I look at them and smile and just like Ken, hey, great, this is going to be so easy. You already know why something, and compliment them. Hey, congratulations. You already understand and know why this is important. That's more than most families I talk to. Thank you for having that understanding. But let me just show you how we work. Right, we're steering it away from being negative to Aflac. And again, like we always want to do, we always want to reframe it into the positive. Ken, thank you for circling us back around to that. So we've already talked about this. The good response to, hey, we're all set, we have Aflac, just like Ken was saying, great, this is going to be so easy to explain. Smile at them. The hardest part of my job is helping people understand why supplemental benefits are so important. This is something I got from Brad. We say Family Heritage is Aflac on steroids. And if somebody says, hey, what are you doing? A really quick comeback is we're Aflac on steroids. We have the same goals, Aflac, help pay people money when bad things happen. We just do it pretty differently. Throw in, we don't advertise. So I'm appreciative of having the chance to share Family Heritage with you. This is how we're different, and a couple quick bullet points. Is any thoughts on that? And again, I know a lot of this we've already kind of talked about.
None really.
None really? Josie, anything? Brandy, you've been quiet. Caitlin, is this helping, guys?
Well, it's kind of like that sign. We're changing their perspective. Like, yes, I'm blind, I can't see, but you know what? It's a beautiful thing, but you know, it's a beautiful day. I can't see it. It basically, we're making them see how beautiful it is with our product.
Absolutely. Great. No, that's why when I found that video, I thought it really kind of spoke to this because it's the same words, right? It's the same goal. We're there to put money in your pocket when bad things happen, but we're saying it differently.
Yes, Trish, this is, as always, very helpful. And I just got to remember to say things, I think, the right way when when approaching businesses.
Absolutely, guys. Yeah, when they say, hey, we're all set, we have Aflac, I know a lot of times, especially in the beginning, our immediate reaction is to smile and say, hey, great, nice to meet you, and turn out and walk away. Take that extra step.
Yep.
Again, we can't guarantee it's going to work. I mean, look at that business I have, that's $1,600 a month Aflac, and they hate it. I mean, that makes zero sense. So guys, I don't want you to think just because somebody has Aflac, it's a slam dunk. But absolutely. And I know we've had a lot of information about this, and if there's anything anybody wants to talk about personally, just shoot me a text or give me a call, okay? Guys, anything else? Guys, real quick, maybe we can touch on this because we don't offer short-term disability. And that could be a hang up to somebody. And again, it's not trying to make the decision for them, but it's just sharing a different way to think about it.
Yep.
So a couple of things about short-term disability, and Ken, you help me with this if I get kind of astray. Short-term disability is tied to someone's salary, right? It pays a percentage of their salary.
Right.
Whole salary. So you can look at Family Heritage as a way to fill that gap in. Because as their expenses are going up, their income's going down. That goes back to our indirect cost page. That doesn't work. So this can be there to fill that gap in.
Yep.
It's also, they have to be out of work for a certain amount of time. So our benefits, obviously aren't connected to someone going to work or not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Short-term disability only kicks in if the incident happens to the employee, not to a family member.
Right.
Right. So usually I've had people, after I share that information with them, and again, I'm very careful not to say this is what you should do. I don't want to say, well, drop your short-term disability and take all those eggs and put them over to Family Heritage. I can share kind of those knowledge points about short-term disability. And then as Ken pointed out, they make their own decision, because if they take whatever eggs are going to the short-term disability basket and free those up, it gives them a whole lot more money to use towards their Family Heritage. Because what I find is people like to stay about the same monthly.
Right.
Right. So if you can help them free up those eggs.
When you think about it, in the intro, on the indirect cost page, when you're going through a demo,
Mm-hmm.
one of the ways to really kind of drive that home about the disability is on the indirect cost page where we use our hands, and we're supposed to be using our hands. I know sometimes I don't do it, but we were taught we were taught in Sales Academy that if we use our hands like this, our income is here when everything is fine, expenses is about right here. What happens if cancer happens, or a heart attack, or an accident? And then we move our hand down, and they say, oh, it goes down. Yeah, it'll go down some with disability or sick pay, right? But what happens to expenses? And so that just kind of brings it back to them that even though I got disability, even though I might have sick pay, I'm still losing income. And most people operate about right here. But
yeah, absolutely. Again, they don't realize that. I mean, the idea of it sounds great, right? Hey, I'm not going to work. I'm going to get part of my salary.
Yep.
But they don't quite understand the backside of it. And again, as you were saying, it's not us telling somebody what to do. It's providing a different way of thinking about it. Ken, you probably know what I'm talking about, because it was back in the day when we actually had our demo books. Do you remember that PDF that Van made? It was like a little graph, and it showed it was 2 bar graphs.
Mm-hmm.
One of the graphs was somebody's normal income and the normal expenses, and just like you said, it was kind of like this.
Yep.
And then the next one was somebody on disability.
Uh-huh.
So it showed their income, the bar graph actually showed it dropping 60%, but the expenses going up. So the graph
Right.
did this, it flopped.
Yep.
You remember that one, Ken?
Yeah, I remember that.
You
Remember
could
that,
also
yeah.
point out too that if they have like accident and disability, that Aflac or whoever is only going to pay one because they're not going to double dip. That's another.
Oh, really? Aflac won't pay
Yes.
short-term disability and accident claims?
I want to say I've heard not, but I don't know that for sure. But I've just heard because if your short-term disability due to an accident, I don't know. They're paying that. I don't know. I think there's I don't think they will because they consider it double dipping.
Okay, guys, tell you what, let's do a little research into that before we start saying that
Yeah.
one. Richard, no, thank you for bringing it up. And that gives us something to kind of go look into. I would just feel safer if we held
Right.
off pointing that out until we knew for sure.
Right.
But I appreciate it though. I really do. Guys, anything else? So I think that the biggies as to why we're different are those last three. We're usually less expensive. And again, they'll figure that out themselves, especially if you can take the eggs out of the short-term disability basket and bring them over to us. Our level of personalized customer service, no caps, no limits, and the return of premium. The easiest way to explain the return of premium is Family Heritage is a mortgage. Aflac is a rental. Why, again, it's helping people make a good decision. If we're less expensive and we're going to pay more money, and hey, we're going to pay your money back. And one last thing, if somebody says, hey, we had Aflac, but we canceled it. Oh, okay. Why'd you cancel it? We weren't using it. Why? It's hard to maintain paying for something that you're not using. So hey, with Family Heritage, we kind of give you the best of both worlds. We're here if you need us, but if you don't need us, we're going to pay all your money back. Is there any last thoughts before we play our little feel-good video?
I don't know if you felt this, but you've probably gotten a glimpse of this. That feeling of pride that you get when you set a vision for yourself, something big, something noble, and then you actually go out there and achieve it. And you work really hard, you struggle through the challenges, you build yourself up, you learn new skills, you develop yourself, you challenge yourself emotionally in every possible way, physically, but then you finally achieve it. You realize that vision, and then you see the smile that effect puts on other people. So whether it was a business that you were starting or some charity work that you were doing, seeing the smile of you putting your best into it on other people's faces, that is the best feeling in the world.
You should be feeling invincible right now. Because you know who you are. Because you're a royal priesthood, a chosen generation. Like right now, you should feel invincible, powerful, strong. Look, you should be feeling like there's absolutely nothing you can't accomplish. Nothing, I don't care, tests, I don't care what it is. Whatever you're going through in your life, you should feel like you can beat it. I need you to know that in order for you to get to that next level, you got to change your thinking. Like for real, you don't need no money. You don't need no stuff. The one thing you need to do to go where you've never gone before, to have what you've never had before, is to change the way you think. If you were amazing, if your life was amazing, what would amazing look like to you?
So guys, again, like our first opening video, changing the way we think, changing the way someone else thinks can be a huge difference to helping us get to our goals. Guys, any little tidbits before we wrap up here?
That was very helpful, Trish.
Thank you, Chase. I appreciate that. And again, guys, I know there was a lot of information and some of you may be driving. If there's anything you want to talk about personally, just shoot me a text or give me a call and we can talk about it. This is been a huge part of me achieving my goals this year, as far as, especially third and fourth quarter, was capitalizing on the, hey, we're all set, we have Aflac. It's no joke, and it helps that the Aflac agent was not very good at his job, but that's okay. We're capitalizing on that, because again, don't run out the door when somebody says, hey, we have Aflac.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys, most Aflac agents are about the same.
Yeah.
And they don't stick around that long.
Can you help me with this? What I've heard is that's kind of because of their lack of support from Aflac.
Yep, absolutely. Like the training that we get, you guys, we're fortunate because the training and support that we get. I really don't know, not that I got experience with other companies, but I really don't know any company that can match it. I do know people that work at other companies. So I've known, folks that work for Aflac, and it's just they kind of just throw a bunch of agents at the wall and see which ones stick.
And that's what I've heard. I've heard they kind of have they run through their own family and friends, and then there's no support. So then they, yep. No, absolutely, Ken. And again, to me, that's just another way that Family Heritage is separated. Of course, how Family Heritage treats us personally may or may not matter to our clients. I think they do want to know that we're happy, we're well taken care of, and that just goes back to talks about the attitude and integrity of Family Heritage as a company. Right? Okay, they take great care of our clients, and you know what? They take good care of me too. And you don't have to get into specifics about what we're paid or bonuses. That's not any of their bonus. That's any of their business. They just want to know that we're happy. Because if we're happy, we're going to be here for the long haul. Is any last closing comments? Just remember, guys, no matter where we're at, things can change with one good call. It's happened to me. It's happened to Ken. Happened to Brandy. I'm sure it's happened to Josie. So no matter what's happened so far, don't let that dictate what's going to happen today.
Yep, it's gonna happen to me again today.
Is it, Ken?
Yep.
All right, guys, everybody say, if you don't mind, say a little quick prayer that all that business I wrote for that company last week, that they're finally going to tell me today to go ahead and send it.
Amen.
They will, Trish.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trish.
Thank you, Brandy. Brandy, one real quick thing. I'm going to stop this. Then I just want to tell you, Brandy, one quick thing real quick, if you don't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So